Hey all, this is Nuno Bettencourt of Extreme, and we are coming to Australia. And all I can tell you is, may the rock be with you, because you're gonna need it.
How are you, Nuno?
Good, how are you, man? You good?
Good, mate. Good to talk to you.
Good to see you.
Yeah, I mean, we've chatted before, but it's actually really good to see you this time. It's awesome.
Exactly, exactly.
Well, welcome to May the Rock be with you once again, mate. We spoke about 5 years ago, so let's catch up. How have the last 5 years been for you?
Easy. Other than the Handmaid's Tale dystopian version of it for a couple of years, everything else seemed to be okay.
It's good. Now, of course, we are here because you're headed back to Australia. Thankfully, it's only been 5 years as opposed to the 25 years before that. What can we expect this time around?
Exactly the same shit. It's gonna be
Yes.
no. No, look, I mean, I don't know. It's we're still the same band, but look, from what I've heard, we got a new album out,
Mm.
and so maybe some new songs, four or five new songs in there, and hitting the road with Living Color, which is great.
Oh, it certainly is. Now, we'll get to the new album shortly, but what's the reaction been like to the new material?
You mean on stage or in
Yeah, yeah.
general?
No, on stage when you're playing them live. How's it going
Okay.
down?
Usually, it can go one of two ways when a band has new material. It's going to be like either concessions are open and they take off and they go get their beers, or in this case, it seems, it's getting probably, some of the bigger reactions of the night. These songs like Banshee and Rise and
Mm.
and Rainbow and everything. So it's been really amazing, and we're actually getting criticized a bit. Usually when a band comes out or I go see a band and they're like, we're gonna do a bunch of new songs off the new album, everybody leaves. But in this case, people are saying, why didn't you do this? And why aren't you doing History of Losers? And why aren't you doing Exile? And I was like, so there's a bit more of a demand that people want to hear more of the album, which is kind of cool. Yeah.
Nice. Now, for someone who hasn't seen you guys before, I highly recommend it. But how would you typically describe an extreme live show?
Um, I think all in,
Mm.
I think if if somebody asked me about, something about the band, like what a strength would be of the band. I I always say a live show. I mean, whether you like the band or not, because I think at the very least, from the second the lights go down to the last, 2 hours later, that energy wise and passion and chemistry and everything that we love to do really comes across more on stage than anywhere else, than on album or anywhere, or even rehearsal. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where it's just like we've always, since we were 17, we even at even at the age that we're at now, for whatever reason, when we step on a stage, nothing feels different to us. Afterwards, it's a whole other story, bones and your body. And what I'm feeling right now, my day off, four shows in, I feel like I've been on tour for 2 months already. But
Mm.
but I think there's that's where the fountain of youth is for us. I think that's where we really love to to give people what they pay for, if you will.
Yeah, beautiful. Now, last time you were here, it was with Mr. Big, this time with Living Colour. I mean, Paul Gilbert last time, Vernon Reid this time. Both bands are technically amazing. These are just masterclasses. Like, what's it like playing with the Living Colour guys?
Yeah, I think I need to find a band that doesn't have a guitar player. I'm getting kind of tired of it. It's like the pressure of having Vernon or Paul before you. Like, it's just I'm listening and I'm watching and I'm just like, why do we choose these guys again? Like, why would you want them before you? But no, it's a great night of music, and I think what's cool about both the bands that you mentioned, and especially Living Color, in the sense of, like, I think when we first came out, we were always kind of that band that sometimes people didn't know what to do with us from a rock perspective. We weren't a metal band, but yet metal and hair metal and all this shit was really happening. And
Mm.
and I don't think, we had a bit of a funkiness to us and horns at times, and people were like, who are you? Like, what are you guys doing? And more than words made it even more complicated, and all that stuff. And I think there was always a group of bands that were these kind of misfit toys like us, like King's X and Living Color, and they were a little bit different. And I think it's great that for us to try to tour with some of these artists, because I think it's not just the guitar playing. I think it's the songwriting,
Oh,
the
yeah.
chemistry of the band, the musicianship, and it's a night of music. It's a night of a lot of different layers, and I think that's what's great. That's what's great, and what sucks for me when you have great guitar. we have great guitar players in the bands, So yeah, I told Vernon actually last night, I'm like, man, can you just, pull it back a little bit, just, give me not stop raising the bar before I go on. So he said he's gonna try his
He's
best for
going to
me.
try. I don't think you have anything to worry about.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Now, when we last spoke in 2018, we used to always predict something. So by the end of 2018, you said Extreme would have a new album out. Now, it's exciting to say 5 years later, we actually got it. So with Six, what was the songwriting process for the album? Was it as a band or separate? Was this some material it had for a while? How did it all work?
Well, what's crazy about the 2018 quote is that's basically where these songs were born and probably why I was like, oh yeah, I mean, let's get something in 2018. And I think a lot of that had to do with, um, you know, it wasn't so much the album or the music part of it. I think it was the band. And, every band has their moments of delay for whatever reasons they do, personal things and, otherwise. And this album probably should have come out like at the end of 2019 to 2020, but then we had this kind of dystopian, like I said, Handmaid's Tale approach where nobody could go anywhere or do anything, or we couldn't play live, or nobody could do any, could barely breathe, never
Mm.
mind see relatives and the craziness that happened. So it got delayed. It got delayed an extra 2 years, just because of that. And uh, you know, it's just I think one thing we've learned, with the release of this and the surprise of the reaction, that we've gotten, because look, we're confident and cocky enough to know what we do and know what we do on an album. You go in and the success of the album for us is the minute we master it and we say that it's good to go to show anybody, whether it's your brother or a fan, that's the success of it. You can't get better than that. Like you can't get more confident than that.
Mm.
And sales and things and they don't really change that opinion of it. It's no matter, Rise solo or people talked about or whatever, it doesn't change the Rise solo for me. If nobody cared, it'd be the same solo. If nobody, you know what I mean? So it is what it is. Always been that way with me and the band. But it's obviously an incredible surprise and a blessing when all of a sudden, in this day and age, as opposed to what back in the 1900s when we put out albums before, it would take 6, 8 months, a year for people to know if they like you, if they
Mm.
like the album, whether it's reviews, whether it's ticket sales, whether it's touring, whether it's radio, TV. It was a process that everybody knew. Singles came out every 3 or 4 months. Now you release something like we did with Rise, and within 12 hours, 5 hours, 24 hours, 48 hours, it's hitting views and hundreds of thousands. And we're like, what the fuck is going on? Your phone's
Yeah.
blowing up in a weird way. That's like from not only from friends, but people you haven't heard of since fucking high school, or like then you got your legendary, guitar players that you've been blessed enough to know, like, the Brian Mays of the world and Steve Lucas is hitting you up saying, "Yeah, what the fuck? What are you eating? What's going on?" And a part of me is like, what is happening? Like, it's not like I'm like, oh, I can't wait. People are going to do this and they're going to say this and this is what's going to happen. It was all a shock to us. It still is,
Yeah.
because we're a band at our age are not supposed to get that kind of response. We're just not. It's just not, bands don't usually release an album in their late 50s and 60s and it's not in their prime, so to speak, and get that kind of reaction or be in 9 fucking covers in 1 month or whatever the fuck that was. It's ridiculous. It just
Yeah.
doesn't happen.
Yep.
So
Amazing.
I'll take it. It's incredible. It was an honor, and it's. But I say it every night to the fans. I out there when we play, I say, look, the only difference between the album, what it actually was, and what it's doing now, and why we're touring and why we're selling out places and things is because of you. It's because of the fans. There's no. It's a relationship, right? It's a
Mm.
complete relationship, and true success or true dreams can only be done by the fan base. It can only there. It's in their power. It's in their hands. We can obviously deliver the record and deliver the album, but it could be a pebble falling in the ocean for all we know. We don't know.
Yeah, well, that's a beautiful way to put it. And I was going to ask about Rise, but then I wasn't because you were going to do that. But I want to ask about a song on the album that stood out for me, a song called The Mask. Is there a story behind that one you can share?
Wow. If I actually shared my screen with you, this press, which I'm happily interrupted, it's interrupting me from editing a video we just shot for Mask.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's actually. it might be my favorite song on the album, possibly. It's in that realm of of some of my of a crop of my favorites. Thicker Than Blood, Mass. There's a few that like every time I listen to them, I listen to them like they're somebody else that I'm like, oh, it's got to be good because it sounds like somebody sounds like somebody else. But yeah, Mask is like really interesting. I actually uh, wrote it with a fellow Aussie who wrote lyrics and music as well, Andy Healy,
Hmm.
uh, and he great lyricist, and we wrote a bunch of things together through the years. But he's a little unknown in music. He's never really had, I don't think, really had anything really released yet until now.
Wow.
And but great lyrics and some of my favorite lyrics on the album. And and stylistically as a song, we don't really do a lot of stuff like that. It occurred to me, somebody said a day, and they were right. I subliminally, I did not know this. We have influences, but you don't. I never sit there and go, let me write a song like that one.
Hmm.
But somebody mentioned to me, like, it's like Depeche Mode, like, Personal Jesus. And I was just like, wow, that's one of my favorite songs of all
Oh,
time.
wow.
And it's incredible how the DNA that you have in the groove of that. And even I sang the verses on it, and how much of like channeling I was of Jim Morrison, Depeche Mode, crazy, vocal that really is interesting character wise. But yeah, lyrically, I'm excited about it. We just shot a video for it. My goal for the album is to shoot a video for every song. I want to do
Nice.
all 12 songs. I want to try to release a video a month, which we've been doing. We did 5 already and just shot Mask and Hurricane. And intend to want to do more Thicker Than Blood on the road, and we want to shoot more. But yeah, so hopefully by the end of the week I'll have Mask edited and done because they're all done by us. I'm the one who, me and my partner, we directed and come up with the concepts and edit it and color it and do the whole thing as so.
Awesome. Looking forward to that. I didn't know you were doing that. That's amazing. Now, not getting ahead of anything, but has this new album and all this resurgence, if you like, lit a fire under the band? Can we expect more music sooner rather than later?
I think that's a great question. I think we learned a lot of things this album, especially the release of it. I mean, the response to me was not uh was not of the typical, oh, great album or great solo to me. I think it was deeper than that. When I was trying to analyze what was going on, and like I said, my phone going off and the things that are going on and wanting to be in interviews, the Virgo in me, the producer in me, backs away and says, oh, I always ask why about everything. I don't just go, wow, this is great, thank you. I'm just like, wait, what's going on here? What's really going on here? What's the note behind the note? And I think I think it made me realize how starved for rock and roll I think we all are. And when I say that, I don't mean that there isn't great bands out there now. I mean, even from our generation, more like, more of an old school kind of approach to making albums, not playlisting, like an album from top to bottom that you can put your headphones on and take a journey with it or take a drive with it. And it made me realize, actually Steve Lukather is the one who said it to me. He goes, you don't understand. He goes, and I was telling him, like, really, come on, solo of the century rise, and it's like, really, like, come on. And I was telling him, he goes, Nuno, he goes, all right, he goes, fine. He goes, let me put it to you this way. He goes, us as guitar players. He goes, when's the last time you called me or I called you to check out a guitar player or solo? Since 2000. And I was like, and I couldn't really name anybody. I'm like, okay, I get it. But it also led to that starvation of that. But I think with Extreme, what I noticed is I really believe the videos were a massive, massive part of why this happened. I don't think the album would have just done it on its own. And the reason I say this is because just Rise, the video, as simple as it is, bizarre cross there, no other lights, it's the band just performing. But I think it's the mythology of rock and roll was missing. It's not just the music, it's all of it. It's what bands wear, it's how passionate they are. It's watching a guitar player play a solo in a video that you're hearing it, but you're also feeling it and you're seeing the passion, as opposed to what? As opposed to me in my hotel room and you in that room being incredible guitar players and going, hey, check this out. Like all the people that we follow all the time that are incredible players, by the way. There's nothing wrong with that. but it's very technically driven. It's not as much emotionally driven. So when you see somebody going emotionally and playing a solo and really meaning what the fuck they do, I think you're seeing rock and roll with, you're seeing a guitar player within a song, within arrangement, within harmonies, within, bridge, within outro, like just
Mm.
seeing that package is what made me realize that there was something deeper going on here, which I think is we're missing that mythology. Not, it's not just extreme. I'm glad it was extreme that did it right now. But I think there's a lot of great rock bands out there right now, like, Five Finger Death Punch, but genre wise, great guitar players in there too. But I think genre, speaking in the genre that we're in, it's not a lot going on,
Mm.
with a guy like myself that's kind of like the last of these guys that are playing in that pentatonic world of just being creative without, there's so many guitar players I watch now that I don't even know what the fuck they're doing.
Mm.
Half of the shit, the style of picking and doing, mixing genres, mixing this, and it's so complex. And it's, as opposed to that straight Zeppelin, Queen, Van Halen, Aerosmith thing, which is just, hey, we're playing bar chords sometimes for fuck's sake. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's just, straightforward, and the solos are within that solo realm. And I think to be creative there, when you get it right, in that small world of rock and roll that isn't really complex, the word I use is simplexity. I've always believed that, rock and roll is not complex. It's always been the same. Rock, pop, reggae, all of it's been the same arrangement since I can remember. It's a verse, it's a chorus, another verse, a chorus, a bridge. We do a solo, and then we go home. And
Yep.
there's an out chorus. But what separated all the artists from each other was that even those arrangements were simple, the songs were pretty simple, the melodies were pretty simple. But when you went back and listened to it, there were complex layers in there that defined a Queen from a Zeppelin that you could peel back. Even within the simplicity of it, there was like lyrics that were complex, some harmonies that were complex, a guitar solo, a rhythm player that was, but yet they were all doing it within a pop sort of place.
Mm.
And I think that's really difficult. I think it's easier to write a pop song, but to do a complex version of it that you can go and that can live for decades and people can go back and rediscover sounds and discover things they missed the first time. That's the art I think that's been missing a little bit, just, in the sense that I think maybe struck a chord with people for real, like, you know what I
Mm.
mean? And so the solo is an element of it, but I don't think it's the greatest solo I've ever done. Come on, really. I don't think it's the greatest song Extreme's ever written, Rise. I think it was just an uppercut that was like, whoa, what the
Mm.
fuck? It was a what the fuck moment. You saw it in the reactions. It was like, what the fuck? But you tell me people haven't heard. I mean, I've been doing those fucking muted things that everybody's dropping their jaws off, and fucking Peacemaker Die in 1993 and on Punchline, other things. And especially now when I think people that are coming to see that thing live and the phones come up, they kind of put the phones down and go, oh my God, he's doing that there and he's doing these, you know what I mean? So I
Yep.
think it was timing. I think it's how long it's been, you know.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's been my video of the week on the website since it came out, and that's a lot of weeks. So I just don't want to take it down
Right,
yet.
nice, 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 nice.
Now, you've got a career that's spanning almost 40 years. What's still on your list of things you'd love to do that you haven't yet done?
Man, I could never be that self. I've been so blessed to do so much, man. I every time people like go back home or get back with friends and tell stories and the shit that comes out of my mouth, with Paul McCartney and Nobel Peace Prize and Kings of Chaos with like, guys from Guns and all these amazing, beautiful moments that I've been placed in and I could never ask for anything more than that, really. I mean, I don't know what else could really fucking be done. I mean, I'm always, look, I have a company that I started called Atlantis Entertainment, and we have artists. I started a label and younger artists working with them, and also went into film and television. We sold one of our first series to Amazon, that we developed. So there's always like new bars and new things, new frontiers, but they're more because of that's who I am. I have trouble sitting by the pool and collecting royalties. It's like I got to be creative and always want to torture myself to keep doing more and more. But what you were saying, I don't even think I answered the question of what you were actually why we talked about this, which is like doing one of the other things that I learned from doing this album with the band is that how great it was to do it, how great it feels to do it now with a new album out and touring as opposed to just doing shows. It's different. It's an old feeling, and it kind of inspired me. And I told the guys, it's like, look, I wanted what we used to do. I want to do now what we used to do. The reason albums took so long for us is because we always wrote them on the road.
Mm.
Always. Oh, I wrote three sides during the Porno tour. I wrote Porno during the first album tour. I wrote Punchline during the Three Sides tour. There's something creative about being on the road, and instead of just sitting there playing for an hour and a half, going back to your dressing room. So I always, sound checks, do some jams, write things, come up with stuff in your hotel room, right? So, I was basically, when somebody says you think you're going to do another album, I was like, well, you tell me. I always have, my voice notes that I'm doing, and I'm telling him, well, here's all the here's the new
Wow.
and latest new riffs and melodies and lyrics and fucking crazy shit that we haven't done yet. So
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
let's talk
it's
about those
insane.
late next time. Now, I know we all lost Eddie Van Halen, probably one of the saddest things that's happened in music in a long time. Has there ever been thought, obviously Gary did Van Halen 3. Have you thought about throwing like Without You into the set as a bit of a tribute, playing it live or something like that?
No, actually. No, I think you know what it, we obviously have a strange connection with Edward because of Gary first and foremost being in the fucking band and doing an album, which is wild in
Mm.
itself. But it seemed that Gary was never the biggest Van Halen fan to begin with, which was ironic because the rest of us were obsessed. But I think, I've just been doing some small little things throughout the set, little nuggets and little like tips of the hats and little tributes here and there throughout the set. But I mean, for me, I had this want to really do. I had this fucking crazy moment that I was like, all right, I got to do some sort of Van Halen tribute. Like, I want to put a band together. Of course, it'd be great with Alex
Mm.
and Michael, but I know that's never going to happen. But at one point, people were saying like, "Hey, I think they're going to reach out to you to possibly do some sort of thing," and I'm like, "Okay, well, I'm here," but I doubt that's going to ring. But I wanted to really, I actually put together the musicians list. I went through every Van Halen album, and I apologize in saying this to anybody that's going to offend, but going through the Dave era for me, the Dave era, because Sammy's a great friend of mine as well. And there's that moment, that new era of Van Halen is a whole other, which by the way, I was obsessed with and listened to it. But as a player and as a kid,
Mm.
the other part of it, the Dave era, is in my fucking bloodstream. That's the difference. I was listening to other stuff where that other shit raised me, as a kid, as a guitar player. So I kind of like went through every Van Halen album, Dave era. I plucked out whatever songs that I thought, and I'm like, this is what I would do. And I was thinking, I was like, put this band together. I don't know, go to Vegas and do some sort of fucking crazy, residence there. That's like Long Live King Edward, whatever it is, or just a straight up tribute. But play it. I wanted the people to walk in and not be like a tribute where, oh, isn't this cute? We're playing the Van Halen songs. I wanted them to walk in and feel like it would be what it'd be like to watch them at fucking 1978, 79, 80. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Like the angst, the fucking fire, the passion, the fucking performance, the tone, all of it, the volume. And the Extreme album got in the way of it, but
Okay.
maybe we will do that. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be nice. It'd be nice to see that. And if you think about it, throw something in the set down here. That'd be cool. Now, let's do the prediction again. We're going to finish this sentence for me. By the end of 2023, Extreme will.
Is that what year it is?
Yeah.
20.
Yep.
You said that. That just really confused me. I don't know why. I thought it was 24, but okay. By the end of 2023, the boldest prediction I could come up with is Extreme will still be together.
I like that one. That's a good one. We'll go with that. Perfect. Nuno Bettencourt, thank you so much again for your time, man. It's a pleasure. I hope I can catch up with you in Sydney. It'd be great to say hi again.
Say hi, please. Come by and say hi. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun.
I can't wait, man. Looking forward to it. Safe travels, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
All right, cheers, mate. Thank you
See
so
you, mate.
much.
Bye.